I'm flying, and I'm making this up as I go. I don't hear anything, so I'm going to sing this song.
Yeah, Chris, why can't Merlin hear us? Didn't you test this before? I mean, I can just use...
Hello. Getting a little echo on the headphone feed? No,
Is it
maybe
like
not.
this every week?
Yep.
Yep, basically.
Alex, you should try loop back.
He's playing Dear Evan Hansen
Yeah,
in the
he's
background.
definitely listening to Dear Evan Hansen. I mean, it's good. It's fine.
I mean, this could just be the show.
The show is Dear Evan Hansen.
I mean,
And Merlin
it's not
singing along.
That would be ideal. This is Due by Friday, a weekly challenge podcast with Merlin Mann, Alex Cox, Max Temkin, and Dr. Veronica Burns. This week's challenge, Watch Pitch Perfect. Hello there.
Am I being punished? What's happening?
I
What's happening?
don't know.
Oh my God. See, here's my idea. You guys should get a purpose-built studio for recording where you could record podcasts.
Well, we were discussing, I think you just singing Dear Evan Hansen in the background is its own show.
Oh, I could do it, buddy.
I know.
The moment when the two moms come in together is one of the greatest things. Isn't it great?
It is. It makes me very upset, though.
Now, this is a
Why?
musical.
Maybe. Allegedly.
It's got Benji in it.
Oh, gosh.
Are we recording? Is this the show? I'm
Yes,
confused.
this is the
Okay.
show.
Okay, cool.
I can't tell what the show is anymore. Well, what I'm thinking is, though, if you could find a place in your office, a dedicated studio space where you could set up recording equipment,
No, we should just use
you'd have that ready
Loopback.
to come in and you could record podcasts on it.
Loop back.
Loop back.
I mean,
pigeon pose.
we were on the call at 10:59. Just because you couldn't hear us doesn't mean
Oh, you guys, I'm sorry I'm late.
I
should get a
know.
purpose-built studio.
you should. You know, it'd be cool if you added a trolley to that situation for some
How the
ambiance.
hell to do this? The trolley is out of commission for the summer, so it should be quiet.
Oh no,
It's not,
that's
it's not a trolley; it's a streetcar.
Oh, sorry.
But it's out of commission for it's all buses this summer, so it should be a quiet summer.
Merlin, in so much as you can say without compromising
Yes.
your operational security,
Yes.
what is the trolley?
There's no such thing as a trolley except on Mr. Rogers.
Okay.
There's streetcars and there's cable cars.
Okay.
There's 5 big streetcar lines that go to the outlying neighborhoods, and one of them happens to go about 20, 25, 30 feet from my front door here.
Is
that's
this
the
is this
roar.
real, or is this part of your mind palace where you go to hear an owl gives you some wisdom and there's like a king?
That's my secret. I'm always hallucinating.
Okay.
oh dear.
Is Dr. Doctor here?
The doctor is here.
Why is she not talking? What's
this
happening?
week we're
Hi.
I think she's confused as to if the podcast started and what this is exactly.
Well,
Always be
This show will
recording.
never air.
here's the thing. Listening to the show, you always do this at the intro. Is this the show? Are we recording? And now it all makes sense because I'm
This
seeing
is why
you.
it would be beneficial to have a purpose-built studio where you guys can record podcasts.
Or
that-
Loopback.
You know, Merlin,
Loop back.
if we
Stop
if we
eating
were
your
to,
quiche.
why? I have so much respect for our listeners that I have to
The audience respecters.
that I have to nourish myself before the podcast. I have to carb up.
You gotta
I'm
keep
going
your
to take
strength
it
up.
away.
No. People love to listen to me eat. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
If we were to build a purpose-built studio where we recorded every week that was just set up
Yeah.
for us to come in and record, I imagine that would be very costly. I mean, we'd have to have a lot of meetings about whether to build that or not.
It would
That might
like,
cost you what? Over $1,000 probably, right?
Oh,
it would-
thousands and thousands
it
of
would
dollars.
require Alex to sleep here on the weekends.
Would you need to? Would there be upkeep
Oh,
involved?
yeah,
would there
yeah.
be new things to buy and replace,
It would
like
involve
retractable
me,
cords?
using my Polish to speak Ukrainian to some folks who are doing the
What?
instruction. It would require Duolingo. It would require a lot.
How hard would it be to gorilla-proof it? Like so people wouldn't
don't-
come in and just tear up those wires.
Oh no, this one people actually don't tear up the wires. It's the other boy. But I sounded so good last week because I had my preferred mic and now I'm back on.
This is my 4th podcast with my new mic and nobody's noticed. So I'm thinking I wasted money.
Oh,
on
you know,
this.
so based on Merlin bought a new microphone, and you sent us the side-by-side sound recordings, and I must say, based on the side-by-side sound recordings, I really struggled to hear a difference. Now I haven't listened to it with like my my best
With cans?
quality headphones yet. But
Yeah.
but I listened to it with the AirPods, and I tried, and I really did not detect much of a difference.
Okay,
Yeah,
at
me neither.
that point, if you have to listen to it with your best quality headphones and the moon needs to be in a certain place for you to be able to hear a difference, does it matter?
Well, yeah, because you want it to sound really good before it gets compressed to like 48 kilobytes per S, and then it goes out and people listen to it on the speaker in their iPhone in the shower.
I do it 96.
And people listen to it at triple speed.
You know what? It's each their own, Merlin.
Oh, I just got mic shamed for my $449 mic purchase, and now I'm the bad one?
No, I thought
Listen,
it
I'm a
looked-
millennial. I
okay,
like horoscopes.
I heard it. The thing is, I was like, oh, maybe this only sounds good because I'm wearing good headphones. And then I played it over my iPhone speakers, and I couldn't tell the difference between the high pass and the low pass between the new mic, but between
You want a live demo?
yes,
There's a live
yes,
demo.
yes, yes.
On the
Okay, so-
iPhone speakers, people can't even tell if I'm eating a quiche.
Okay, this is without the roll off. This is with the bass on. I sound very authoritative this
Yeah.
way. This is me talking,
With
then
the
I switch it
roll
over and I
off,
sound a little.
with the roll, you get more of the Dickerson sound. That patented.
But I want the compression. I want it to really clamp
Well,
down
that's
on
the-
me. I want
that's
to sound
what-
like I'm on an AM radio.
So that's the Rush Limbaugh effect. Seriously, is like you compress it to hell, and then he talks real soft, like close to the microphone. You get that growly, Alex Jones, Rush Limbaugh like sound.
I bought a cloud lifter and put that on there, and all that did was overdrive it. So the cloud lifter, I think, is not going to be the answer for this.
Let me introduce our guest this week. As long as we're doing, buying pro radio equipment.
This is why I brought a crossword.
Yeah, Veronica does have a crossword there, actually. It'll be just like listening to the podcast normally.
Was she's knitting last week, and this week she's got a fucking crossword? What is happening?
Just in case you guys decide to talk about Apple products.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Well, this week we are joined by Dr. Veronica, my partner, and she has conspired with Alex this week to come up with our challenge, which was to watch some musicals that I have very strong feelings about. We'll be talking about that in
It's
just
not
a little bit.
musical. It's not.
Folks, we got a great show for you this week. Stay tuned.
It's not a musical. I'm most curious about. Well, now I'm interested in Veronica's crossword puzzle. Do you do like a daily New York Times thing, or what's your crossword puzzle of choice?
If I'm going to do the crossword, it'll probably be the New York Times, but I am too scared of like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday puzzles. Well, Wednesdays are okay, but
It gets harder as the week goes on. Is that right?
yeah. Thursday and Friday, I just don't even try.
Wow.
See, you're very, very good at puzzles, so this surprises me actually, and the whole like.
But
culture of
I'm
it.
bad at words.
Oh. I'm so glad you're on this podcast.
Hello.
I don't actually speak English. These are words that I have memorized phonetically.
Yeah, like the New York Times puzzle has the crossword, and then on the other side, like right next to it is the Ken, which is a logic puzzle, and I do those in like 2 minutes, and then I go back to the crossword, and it usually stumps me.
Did you ever? Did any of you ever get into Sudoku?
Yes.
Yes.
Veronica has like books of Sudoku puzzles at our house.
Yeah, that's for like airplane rides and stuff.
Well, okay. Well,
God,
this is
that's like
interesting.
CIA like black site torture for me. It's like trap me on an airplane for 4 hours with nothing but a Sudoku book.
Sudoku is the only time I feel good at puzzles. I think they're really easy. Is this my only superpower in life? Is I can solve Sudoku puzzles?
I feel good at puzzles when I play Professor Layton games. And then you say how much water goes in the jugs, and it goes, "You solved it, Professor."
Can I ask another doctor question?
Yes, please.
I feel like I know that you have made some kind of graphic novel type thing about sciencey things, and my daughter's very excited about that. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah. So I was working.
I put that really terribly. You made a comic about science, is that right?
I did.
Okay. I'm bad at words.
Just like me, it's okay. So I was working on my PhD thesis a few years ago in 2014, and I just had a bunch of time on my hands, I guess. So I decided to, while I was writing my actual thesis, I wrote a comic book version of the same thesis. So it has...
That's so cute. You're in the Smithsonian Tween Tribune.
What?
Student made comic book to explain complex chemistry.
Yeah.
That's so cool. The
probably me.
2015. Look at that.
Yeah. So I wrote it mostly with my parents in mind because they aren't scientists, and the stuff I was working on was really important to me, and I loved it, and so I wanted to be able to tell them about it, but they don't know the language of chemistry, and so I put it in a language that they do know, which is comics.
And how do I get a copy of this? Do I have to Kickstart it?
It was on Kickstarter at one point, but now you can find it on my website, which is just my name, veronicaburns.com.
Oh, there you are. Okay, I'll put it in notes.
Digga. Follow up. This is on the Daily Beast, and it's a story about Curt Schilling. You guys familiar with Curt Schilling? He's a former baseball player.
I am not. No,
yes. He's a pitcher who became a dingling.
Yeah, he's gone full dingling in recent years. So he is. He's a video game studio destroyer. Was more of a hobby, but sort of a businessman now, I guess, and a Republican donor. I'm not sure how he's so rich. I guess baseball. Do you make that much money playing baseball?
yes.
You make
I think you can make pretty good money with baseball.
you make like rich political donor money with baseball.
I don't know about that.
Well, anyway, he posted. Schilling is a QAnon guy, so he's now sort of another celebrity like Roseanne, who's come out in favor of QAnon. And he did a Facebook post about an even crazier version of QAnon. And I thought I would just read from this Daily Beast story because this is a version I hadn't heard about yet from talking with you guys about it. Schilling's Facebook post includes a link to a pro-QAnon video that presents a version of the conspiracy theory that's wild, even by the already warped standards of the QAnon community. Filled with images of hooded figures in secret society meeting, the video's narrator posits that every president since Ronald Reagan has been a, quote, criminal president, allied with a global cabal responsible for all the evil in the world. The video's narrator blames this cabal for, among other things, orchestrating the Sandy Hook and Las Vegas mass shootings, hijacking North Korea's Kim dynasty to force them to make nuclear missiles, and, according to one especially surprising segment of the video, forcing Miley Cyrus to abandon her family-friendly Hannah Montana image in an effort to destabilize the American family structure.
Oh, my God.
The solution of these deep state machinations, according to the video, is an alliance between Trump, the military, and foreign figures like Vladimir Putin, who supposedly helped convince Trump to run for president to stop America's villainous government bureaucrats. Quote, it came down to two choices for America. Launch a military coup to seize the government from whichever cabal puppet was in the White House at the time, or win legitimately, take control of the NSA, expose the criminals for what they are, and arrest them all, the narrator says. The video Schilling also includes allusions. This is not well written. The video Schilling, it's supposed to say the video Schilling posted, but it does not. Also includes allusions to the Pizzagate conspiracy, which has been embraced by QAnon believers. The video shows an apparently random selection of celebrities, including Eminem, Jonah Hill, Jackie Chan, and Emma Watson, before showing an image of a child with his hand over its mouth. Quote, they will be seriously punished, the video's narrator says, flashing to a picture of Guantanamo Bay, a reference to the popular notion among QAnon believers that elites, including apparently the celebrities listed in the video, will soon be imprisoned there.
From Hogwarts to Gitmo.
I know,
We're finally going to shut down that monster.
someone better be working on that script where there's a cell, there's like one of those like fenced cells in Guantanamo, and who's in there? It's Eminem, Jonah Hill, Jackie Han, and Emma Watson. I think that's comedy material.
Boy, talk about a super team.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dear. The QAnon. Oh, the storm, you guys. The storm.
The storm is coming.
The storm is coming. Are you guys watching the water? Be honest.
Oh man, there was there was some sort of left. Now the left is doing these sort of something big is coming conspiracy theories too. Like I sent you guys some of those too this week.
Yeah, I want to be a part of that. I want to get.
It didn't really occur to me. I was doing dishes yesterday evening and listening to the news, and it's just to state some obvious things. If the future people are listening to this is a time when everybody on pretty much all sides are wondering there's so many things that have happened that we wouldn't have imagined would happen 5 years ago or even like 2 years ago. So many things have happened, and even especially perhaps starting with the far right, there became this notion of it seemed like an unprecedented amount of just believing what people wanted to believe. Now, of course, now Max wants to bring the flat earthers on. Now we're seeing the left going a little bit nuts with what's possible. And it just seems like it's such a ripe time for the right kind of charlatan to come along. And not just politically, but like, you know, and actually it's funny. I was listening to Culture Gab Fest today, and they were talking about the millennial interest in astrology coming back.
Yes.
Oh,
And this funny thing, and I'm not here to star
Dude, it's fully mainstream. On the Bachelorette, and the season premiere of The Bachelorette, they had the women in, and they like burned sage in the Bachelorette house, and I was like, this is a lot.
Well, and the funny part of it is the well, actually, by your logic, people among us want to say like, oh gosh, don't you realize that that's fake? And it's like, it kind of doesn't matter if it's fake. It's fun. They're committed but not committed, and they believe it but don't believe it. And I don't know. It just makes you wonder, like, what is the next thing going to be? Maybe it's not going to be an Orwellian authoritarian figure, but like, are we going to see more stuff like The Secret coming out? Is there going to be more like magical thinking that we just institutionalize as a culture?
Well, I think it's like I think this stuff definitely comes in waves, and I think it probably relates, and to some degree, it probably relates to like if the world feels really out of control, and you do not get a feeling of stability and permanence when you're like looking at the news, then I can see where it becomes very tempting to want to believe in some sort of order, even if it's like a conspiracy against you. So or mysterious, like, you know, like witchcraft is a kind of an order that can be understood. It's like a way to control the world. And the same with QAnon. It's like, well, at least you're in on the secret, right?
Right.
So like,
and there's nothing with QAnon. It seems like there's nothing that doesn't fit.
Right.
It's very. I mean, I don't want to cast an aspersion, but like it seems like one part of QAnon is like there is the authority called Q, and it doesn't feel so far like there's anybody who's being excluded from the conspiracy theory for thinking something that's too nuts. Because the more nuts it is, the more it fits into this narrative where everything fits together. It seems like.
Well, I think like also like once you let something in to be part of your identity, you can go to enormous intellectual lengths to justify it. I mean, comical lengths. I was talking with like, I'm reading this book about the Satanic Panic. Do you remember that, Merlin? Can you describe that?
Well, I mean, one that comes to mind, there's a couple things that I think of in the 80s and 90s. One was that when I was in high school, I was high school aged, when there'd been a big rise in the early 80s with the moral majority, and then that translated into a lot of stuff like very prominent TV ministers, and it was a time, I don't know if this is the one you're talking about, but at that time, there was all kinds of, I guess you could call it satanic panic, about freaking out about the influence of secret Satanists on especially children, and then finding instances of that, whether that's in backmasking or in the Procter & Gamble logo or whatever it was. There are these very widely held urban myths and conspiracy theories. And then the other one that really I think of is I want to say in the 90s, when there was a family that ran a daycare facility that was accused of abusing the children as part of a satanic ritual. And then, I don't know, I feel like that maybe after Jim Baker went to prison and came back and started making buckets, I don't know if that was the end of it, but there was a time when we look at now, the idea that people were saying D&D was an openly satanic practice that involved like child ritual murders and stuff like that. And people honestly took it extremely seriously.
Gotta watch out for the gelatinous cubes.
Or Judas Priest. I mean, Judas Priest went to trial because of a song that supposedly encouraged this guy to kill himself.
It was like an occult kind of a panic, and then but also it was like, I think there was like a feminist sort of angle to it as well. Like I think that like at that time, like popular sort of feminism aligned with the Satanic Panic because it was against, you know, child abuse and stuff like that.
It explained, it served to explain how, what's that word you always use? The phrase that I always forget about, like folk, like is it called a folk panic? The thing where you suddenly like, oh, you know, the Jews are poisoning the water and everybody freaks out because there's this answer, there's a sense of otherness.
I mean, that's proven.
Well, absolutely. They make them into crackers. That's why they have the empty chair. That's where they put the baby.
You save a little poison for Elijah.
But Mazel Tov. It's not so far off Next Door. Next Door is the more civilized version of that, where the sense of otherness becomes institutionalized. You find evidence to support how the sense of otherness is creating danger. You get all kinds of logical errors and strange cognitive decisions that lead you to think that, like, no, there's this race of hoodies that are like taking over our neighborhood. With cameras and sharp sticks.
Right.
And anyway, I feel like if you look back on it now, but people didn't have that sense at the time. If you opposed the moral majority thinking and you opposed the anti-satanic thing, you were thought to be like part of the problem.
Right.
Counter-revolutionary.
Well, it has that tenor of like, well, if you're not on board with this, you're part of the evil conspiracy, which is always.
How could you not want to save the babies?
Right.
You obviously are one of the rape murderers.
Right. And when those moral panics get rolling and you're like on the wrong side of it, that's always a little scary moment in the culture. But I see a lot of parallels to that on the left and the right today. And I think it's just like, so the book I'm reading about the Satanic Panic, the sort of thesis about it is that the underlying cause was that there was this big societal shift of women entering the workforce. And it created all this anxiety about what the role of men and women were and what was going to happen to kids. And there was the rise of like daycares and nannies and things like that. And these were all like, I mean, they had always been around, but they were becoming like very middle class and mainstream. And people just felt like society was changing very quickly. So it led to this, like you're saying, these like grand conspiracy theories where like, you're either on the inside of the conspiracy theory with us or you're like part of the evildoers. And it just felt.
And you're consequently, you are actively, even if you don't realize it yet, you're actively harming. This goes back to even in the 60s where women who wanted to be nurses were not allowed to be married. You would not be admitted into a nursing school.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And there was a woman a few months ago finally got her degree like from the 60s. But it comes into such sharp relief only 20, 30, 40 years later where you look back and go, oh, well, that totally makes sense. Like, yeah, we were happy to have the women work in factories during the war. But once the men came home, we had to like really rein that in. And then you find all these instances that feels like journalism or evidence of the harm that this is causing. And so it's really just what you're saying. Like you kind of back solve it from hatred.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just we're clearly in a time right now, for all of the absolutely stupid culture war fights that you see on cable news every day, of people arguing trans bathroom stuff or people at the Red Hen and the Republicans were protesting outside of the Red Hen last night and someone threw shit at the Red Hen. So they're like throwing shit to own the libs now, throwing poop to own the libs.
And Melania's jacket. I mean, the grinding down to the axle about Melania's jacket. And that's exactly what they want you to do.
Yeah.
They want you.
But it's just so like dumb. that level of trivia of what people are fighting about and Colin Kaepernick and kneeling and that whole milieu of like of these like culture war battles. Like when I go on Tumblr and just look at what's popular on Tumblr, like people have no idea the fucking reckoning that they're in for of social change that's coming with the younger generation of kids. Like they have no fucking idea. Like if you think it's disruptive now that trans people want to use bathroom, they want to be part of society and use bathrooms, and Colin Kaepernick wants to protest on a football team, like buckle up because the next 20 years are going to be fucking crazy. They're going to be fucking crazy.
Nancy Pelosi says everything's fine.
Yeah, it's just one race.
It's just one race. It doesn't mean
trend
anything.
There. That's someone who's, that's a leader, way out front, not running behind going,
weak.
Hang on, let me lead you.
Could you put that more nicely?
Anyway.
Max, I don't know if this is going to be funny, but I really want you to talk about the weird Twitter situation that evolved last night.
Well, we don't have the video, I don't think.
We've got to find it somewhere. I watched it like 8 times and then it was gone.
I'll explain it quickly, and
is this the thing you were telling me about?
Yes, it's so funny, but I'm just looking at Dog Boner to see if it got Oh, here it is. Okay, we do have it. It's on Vimeo. Okay,
wait. Send it to me. I'm going to download it right now, just in case.
I haven't seen it yet. I want to see.
So you guys know the story with the Red Hen that they asked Sarah Huckabee Sanders not to eat there, and
gave her a cheese plate on the house.
Yeah, they comped her dinner and asked her to leave, and then it got out. And she made a statement, and then Trump did a tweet, and he was like, "The building is dirty. I always knew it. They have health code violations." And which is very funny for him to say.
Clean your awnings, sir.
Which was very funny for him to say because A, they have a sterling health record. Like someone actually like went and pulled the papers, and that Red Hen location has like an excellent health record. But on the other hand, Trump's properties have very poor health records. Like if you've ever seen that report of the warm meats at Mar-a-Lago and the various like,
More meats and copious riches.
Yeah.
God.
yeah, it was really not good. As the president said when he went to the Holocaust Museum, not good.
Yeah. Very bad.
Very bad.
Those are the children's shadows.
So he then tweeted about it, and that I would say that took it from sort of marginalia that was being argued about in like the Washington Post, opinion
Who will rid me of
pages
this meddlesome restaurateur.
to no kidding.
Right, but same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't have to say go do a blanket party on these people. All he has, it's the who will rid me of this meddlesome monk. All he has to do is like, wow, these guys kind of suck, and whoa, everybody just collapses on them, and they're collapsing on the wrong red hen. They collapsed on a red hen in D.C. Another one in Canada is being harassed
that will be
now.
an important part of our story in just a moment. But all I was going to say is last night there were these huge protests outside of the Red Hen, and
The correct one in Virginia.
the correct one in Virginia, and one Republican yelled out, "Make America Great Again!" And he threw poop at the Red Hen, and then the first responders who were there had to have a fight about who was going to clean the poop up, and the fire department wound up cleaning it up.
I want to see that guy's to-do list for Tuesday.
So that we got attacked by the doodler. We have to respond we have to have a proportional response.
Wait, important question.
Yeah.
Scraping that off your head. I'm the doodler.
Where did he get the poop?
I believe it was animal poop. So
Oh.
maybe from his farm.
So that takes planning then.
yeah, he planned it. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
friend.
he was working on this.
That was like the night before. He's like, oh, a little plastic baggie, and
Mm-hmm.
he's got like a shovel. And he had to like collect it.
No, but I would be more upset if it was like just a spontaneous, like I can just shit this out. And,
Well, we could throw cat poop if we wanted to protest something. We could throw cat
Yeah.
poop at it.
It needs
Just throw
planning.
those hard little.
Yeah, my cat has
Tootsie
really hard
Rolls.
poop.
Yeah.
I'd probably break a red hen window, at least crack it. She should really drink more water. Do you think he wore a glove?
Did he wear a glove? I don't
Oh.
know. There's video of it. I haven't done that deep of a dive. But the funny thing that I wanted to play on the podcast. So, do you guys know the genre of weird Twitter tweet where someone will? It goes back to I don't remember who did this, but someone was like during the 2016 election. Remember Trump was saying it's illegitimate. The election's not going to be fair. And it was during early voting. This guy did a tweet and he said, "I work at a post office in Ohio, and any Republican ballots that come in, I throw them out." And I thought that was so fun. And it got on right wing Twitter and right wing Facebook, and people went fucking crazy. And if you stop and think about that tweet, it doesn't make any sense because how would you know who's a Republican ballot and who's not, right? It doesn't make any sense. And like if you looked at the guy's profile, he's clearly like a comedian. Like it's just like it was like the
It's just a classic. It's a classic troll.
it's just it's a very funny troll because it was done in precisely.
I mean, there's no way to really fight it. It's not like saying no, you are.
Right.
Like he's saying something that's patently true that's just going to make people freak out for no reason.
right, but it's engaging. It's riling people up who have chosen to believe in a crazy conspiracy theory, right? And then it plays right. It's like the worst, and they're so dumb that they think that one guy on Twitter would be like bragging about it would be the proof they need to break the story, right?
Well, like remember the whole Antifa thing? The Antifa,
Yes.
that was a weird Twitter thing, right?
Yes, yeah, and they were.
That Antifa's going to go to like shopping malls and kill children and stuff like that, and everybody completely freaked out.
Yeah, and people were doing the same thing. They were riling up these right-wing Facebook groups. So last night, someone posted this account. Rob Rousseau posted, "My uncle actually owns a Red Hen franchise in South Bend, Indiana, and told me that when he drops chicken on the ground, he transfers it to a special bucket and serves it to Trump supporters when they come in. LMAO." And again, if you look at this guy's account, he is clearly joking. He's like clearly a comedian. He's like a writer for like I think he's like he might be like a magazine writer or something. He's just like a weird Twitter journalist guy. Like he clearly does not have any contact with a Red Hen in South Bend, Indiana, which I also don't think exists.
I don't think it's a franchise either.
I guess so. What happened was this tweet got like reposted, like a screenshot got reposted on some like Bill O'Reilly Facebook groups last night. And then people found this guy's, maybe, I want to say like his podcast co-host or a friend of his who had a Google Voice number in his Twitter profile, and they assume, or maybe someone even said that guy is the uncle or whatever, and that account is @dogboner, and so people started calling the Google Voice number in @dogboner's Twitter profile. Enraged Republicans who were very, very mad about this, and they were and complaining about this non-existent South Bend, Indiana Red Hen franchise. So I'll play one of those calls now.
You want to put chicken that's fell on the ground. You want to feed your political opponents dog shit. Guess what happens? You know what happens?
People are so mad.
Is you pay the consequences. I am going to put you out of business, motherfucker. I am here to put you out of business, and I want you to know that. You spell my last name, K. My first name is, and when you go out of business, I want you to know that I did this to you. You have that, motherfucker? Do you understand it? I did this to you. I put you out of business, motherfucker.
K-U-Z. K-U-R.
I will put you out of business.
Yell.
I am going to put you out of business.
Anyway, there's 8 minutes of that, of the calls that he got from people.
Oh my God.
Why does this make you sad, Veronica? I'm sorry, Dr. Burns.
No, please call me Veronica.
Dr. Professor Burns.
When people call me Dr. Burns, it just makes me sing in my head the They Might Be Giants song, Dr. Worm, but Burns instead of Worm. I am a real Burns.
Do you think you're getting good?
Definitely. But I
be honest. Can you handle criticism?
I can handle criticism. Yeah, so it makes me sad because these people clearly believe what they saw, right? Like they aren't thinking critically about the original tweet or post or whatever it was. They're just like going ahead and believing this, and it says something about the state of the world right now that we don't handle that well in our education system.
Well, but these are grown ass adults. Like they're not like college students, and it's like what can you do? Like I guess what I like about this is like it's all there is to make fun of them. Like you can't. It's not like you can have I don't think you can have a dialogue with these people and like change their minds. Like
no, I don't think so either. But the fact that they believe it in the first place that's a problem. That reflects that we did not, as a society, give them the tools that they need to succeed in life.
I mean, the same thing happened. Remember when everyone had like all their panties in a twist because of Chick-fil-A? Like the guy is basically homophobic, and there were I knew a ton of people who like boycotted Chick-fil-A. I'm like, what do you think you're doing? What?
I see. Actually,
their fries are really good.
I actually I do love the waffle fries.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Chick-fil-A is so good.
I actually do. I somewhat disagree with that because like it's not just because they superficially look the same. Of like the right is boycotting a restaurant and the left is boycotting a restaurant. It doesn't mean that we can't like interrogate further and see what is the reason for the boycott? What happened? Like asking one person, the press secretary for the president, not to eat there the week that they're detaining, separating children and putting them in baby jails. That is very different character than blanket banning all gay people. Like it just is. Like I don't even need to go. I feel like it doesn't even need that much of a discussion. It's like it's a false equivalency of asking one person to leave who's like a public figure for this human rights atrocity versus banning an entire group, a protected class of people.
I got real mixed feelings. I have such mixed feelings about it.
I've been to many a Chick-fil-A, and I think it's because, like Veronica said, there was no critical thinking. Like when people,
but it wasn't that gay people were banned from Chick-fil-A. It was that Chick-fil-A was giving money to defeat gay marriage.
No, that was not true.
If you want to know why the Janus...
Domino's fucking does that, but
why don't eat Domino's either?
Yeah, well, Domino's
very hard for me to give up, and we all love their food. No, but okay, listen, similar story, right? The Janus ruling today that's going to gut public sector unions, that's from our state. That's Bruce Rauner basically brought that case to the Supreme Court, and it's funded. It's a case that was sort of manufactured and funded by the Uline family, who makes the Uline catalog. They sell boxes and stuff like that.
Oh, right.
And they send me a catalog every single
They're
day.
the largest Tea Party donors in Illinois. They've used to fund Bruce Rauner, and then recently they funded Jeannie Ives, who did that anti-trans ad in Illinois. And you know what I'm talking about?
It was
The really nasty woman who ran to the right
really
of Bruce
bad.
Rauner. So it's like, listen, don't use Uline. Like, if you use Uline, some amount of your money will be used for these kind of, like, it will go into the hands of the worst people in society who are trying to, like, discriminate against protected minority groups and destroy the working people in this country. So don't buy anything from Uline.
Well, genuine question then. Like I bought something from Uline like 4 years ago now. Every single day, like you've seen it, there are just catalogs all over our office because anyone is my time better
Cards-
spent.
Cards.
Like,
So to also, like, very occasionally, Cards does buy things from Uline because they're the only place where we can get some stuff. But we've made a huge effort to, like, anything we can get in this office or in our supply chain that's not from Uline, we do it.
right. And so is my time better spent like not like you said, there's some products that you need to buy from Uline. Should I call Uline and be like, hey, I'm not buying your products because of this, or go to like support unions directly? Like I guess that's where
here's
my mixed
advice.
feelings
Here's
come
my
from.
advice for everyone, because people are also saying, like, a similar question to what you're asking. You're saying, like, how do you prioritize what to do? How do you pick what's the most important thing? And I think a similar thing people were saying this week about this whole civility debate with the Sarah Sanders being kicked out of the restaurant and everything is like, oh, we can't worry about this civility argument. We have to beat the Republicans in the election. And then, you know, other people were saying, well, no, we have to do all of it. And I somewhat agree of, like, it's like every person individually maybe has to choose what to care about. But there's hundreds of millions of Democrats out there. Like, we are capable of doing all this stuff in a way that's additive to really mean something. So what I would say the right way to think about it is not like, do I pick A or B, but it's like, how do I live a life where I contribute as much as possible to the solution and as little as possible to the problem? And you have to make those calls for yourself daily on, like, an ongoing way. So to me, if I can have another chicken sandwich instead of Chick-fil-A 90% of the time, like, if it's a thing and there's Chick-fil-A being served for lunch, like, I'll eat it or what. It's not, I'm not like, I don't drive myself crazy to avoid it or anything, but, like, yeah, it's contribute to not go out of my way to eat Chick-fil-A a lot is contributing as little as possible to the problem, right? Or not ordering from Uline, you're contributing as little as possible to the problem. And then when you're saying, like, well, should I help unions? Should you quit your job at Cards and go sit in a factory takeover as like a union organizer? Like,
No.
That's probably too much. But, like, there's probably something you can do to contribute as much as possible to helping, and as little as possible to hurting.
Okay. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that's all you can do in life, is as much as you can to help and as little as you can to hurt. And you have to also trust that that's why I don't like the conception of politics that we have. That's the way people think about politics right now, where everyone are these, like, atomized individuals, and every person is an individual consumer of politics, and you boycott this and support that and post that on your Twitter. It's like, that's not how politics works. Like, you have to be connected to a movement where everyone does it, and then it matters. Then the little thing, then having Chick-fil-A one less day a month, right, doing as much as you can to not be part of the problem, that adds up in a cumulative way, and Chick-fil-A starts to suffer until they change their policy about giving money to hurt gay people.
I totally agree with that. I think where I get hung up is people, the whole idea of doing as little hurt as possible sort of negates some people. They think it's that they are doing good. So, like, I tend to stay quiet about stuff I don't know about and focus more on, like, the, like, queer issues in Chicago and, like, homelessness in Chicago, because I know that I can make a concrete difference, or I would drive myself crazy every night thinking about everything that's wrong in the world. And I guess that is where my, like, because people are like, oh, I don't need a Domino's. I don't buy Nike shoes. Nike shoes are real comfortable, guys. They're real.
What's wrong with Nike? They're made by children's slaves.
Yeah, just like everything else.
Yeah, well,
Our Tom Baden bags aren't.
no, the thing, I don't think the thing is to be perfect. I don't think that's possible. I think that your original sin is just living in capitalism and just buy. I mean, just anything you do. I mean, God damn, like, what would it? I don't even know how would you? I mean, our friend Brent, lives a guiltless life in capitalism. He's a vegan.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
a vegan. He like gets everything he owns used and out of the trash. He only rides his bicycle everywhere. He has like a rescue pit bull, and he's currently like volunteering as like a firefighter in like a national park. And and he does like urban farming for free in Chicago. So it's like, yeah, that guy lives Brent lives a guiltless life in capitalism, but I'm not willing to sacrifice in the same way that Brent is. So what can I, so then for me, it's like, well, given my life and who I am, like I said, like what's the most I can do to help and the least I can do to hurt?
I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to extend this, but I just,
You don't agree?
Oh, interesting.
Go, please, well, now you have to talk
just-
about it.
I mean, this is such an unpopular point of view, and I really don't want to hear about it. So I just keep it to myself. But I don't think that's the fight we want to have. I think we want to be, and I'm not trying to make this about quote unquote civility. What I'm saying is, if we start to think that the way to treat this is to use tactics that could be used against us. I mean, it's the same way that like people who carry a knife think that they're going to win the fight because they got the knife and they've never been tested at it. And the one time they pull out that knife, the person who wants it more is going to take it away and slice them up. And the problem is we're getting ourselves into a war that we do not want to have. We do not want to relitigate the 1960s and the lunch counters, and that's what this is going to turn into. The sauce for the gander part is going to be when this comes back at us as a culture war, because we chose to fight in that culture war and say, oh, well, because what Stephen Miller does is so odious, he gets yelled at in Mexican restaurants. I don't think that's who we want to be, and I think it's a fight that we can't win. But with that said, when Chuck Schumer doesn't fucking stand up, when Nancy Pelosi dissemble and get all flustered about all this stuff, that drives me fucking bananas and makes me, in my heart, it makes me happy that Sarah Sanders can't have a normal life because she's a fucking liar and a goon, and that makes me sad. But like, I think we need to be careful about not getting into a fight that we will certainly lose, and it does end up very much helping quote unquote the other side. What concerns me is once it becomes okay to refuse service to people because what you think they do is odious, we're going to fucking lose and lose and lose.
Merlin, all I would say though is that, so I don't disagree with your analogy about the knife, but the Republicans already brought a knife to this fight under Obama. And what are we supposed to do? It's like this is the joke that we were.
How will you feel when you go in a coffee place and say we don't serve liberals?
Well, first of all, that literally already happens. Like, maybe you haven't seen it, but there's been all these people posting.
And so how do you win that?
Okay, well, you
win that by doing it more to the other side.
It's not a war in that sense. It's just that the taboo of the polite society has already been breached. So Republicans there are bars throughout the country. People have been posted. I've seen 100 photos of them in the last week where people are like, "This is a redneck bar, no liberals allowed," like on the door, like it's part of the identity of the bar.
Not a good look.
I don't disagree. Okay, I don't disagree, but I'm just saying the taboo is breached. If you may remember, Joe Biden, there was a sort of a trivia story during the 2012 reelect. Joe Biden was denied. He wanted to go to a bakery, and the baker wouldn't serve him. And then did Republicans decry the incivility of that baker not serving the vice president? No. The next day, Paul Ryan had the baker on stage with him at a campaign rally. So the guy was a hero in the Republican Party for denying service to Republicans. It's already happening. And all I would say is
right. And it doesn't look good, and it doesn't make classy people want to do the right thing.
You know what though? But leaving aside the issue of classiness, which I think has already been breached by Republicans, we will not it doesn't matter. They've already the taboo's been breached. Like the civility is at this level has already been destroyed by the other side. So we would be idiots not to fight on this playing field to some degree.
I'm not talking about civility. That word is being really heavily overused. One of the most galvanizing moments for the progressive agenda in the 60s was saying it's not okay to say that just because you really, really, really don't like somebody, you cannot accommodate them with your public service. You are totally free to do that.
But it's not that you don't like the person. It's that you don't like a protected minority class of people. And the last time I checked, press secretaries for the president are not a protected minority class of people. It's one individual. Like, I don't hate press secretaries. I hate Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
And Merlin, I want to agree with you, but like literally 2 weeks ago, we were driving through Indiana, and I had to go in because my credit card wasn't working at a gas station, and the guy was like, "There's 2 miles up the road, we don't serve dykes," and like that is a like I live in Chicago and I don't have to deal with that often.
How'd that make you feel?
Like a monster, like it or that.
Yeah.
And
But
it's,
the person didn't say. But
exactly.
The thing is, he really, really, really believes
exactly.
that. He
but
knows
he
that's the
wasn't
right
like
thing.
I don't like you, Alex Cox, you weirdo.
Right, exactly. He is discriminating against a protected class of people in a way that probably is, but it should be illegal. And
I don't think the other side's going to agree to those.
well,
rules.
we have more people than them, and if we would just stand up for what we believe in, our people would show up to vote, and this wouldn't be an issue. But a final piece of evidence I'd like to introduce on the record is a tweet from Mikey Dickerson, who ran the U.S. Digital Service under the Obama administration. Mikey tweeted yesterday, as a former Obama official, he was replying to an LA Times opinion piece that said, making Trump officials miserable isn't going to accomplish anything. Vote them out if you want change. Mikey replies, he says, as a former Obama official, this is patently untrue. My productivity was directly, vastly affected by variations in how miserable I was. Every time a Trump official...
Have him go home at 3 to drink.
every time a Trump official knocks off at 3 to go drinking rather than power through 5 more meetings, that is helping a little bit. And what I like about this tweet and this way of thinking about it is leaving aside the they brought a knife, we brought a knife escalation element, which whatever... I feel like it's already been escalated, so there's no harm in our side responding proportionally. But leaving that aside, we are shut out of all branches of government. We have no institutional power. We have control so few state governments at the moment that they're almost able to do a constitutional convention and change the Constitution to put these kinds of discrimination into law permanently in the Constitution of our country. So, and furthermore, these elected officials are not, they're not accountable to the public and they're not available to the public. So Republican congressmen don't do town halls. There's no way for people to talk to Sarah Huckabee Sanders and tell her how they feel. The White House certainly doesn't solicit public comments or read them. So what is left? What is left? Like, if you're mad and you are being discriminated against, you feel in some cases that your life, your livelihood, your freedom is being threatened, what are you supposed to do? Like, making people uncomfortable at a restaurant and yelling at them is the very least thing that you could do if you have zero access to institutional power. Like, if people are really worried about this, like why don't they create institutional town hall meetings and ways for people to have accountability to their constituents? The problem here is that these people don't talk to the voters. They're not available or accountable in any way. So it's like, what are you going to do? You have to go into a restaurant and yell at them while they're eating their tamales.
Can this be the end of the part where we read Twitter?
I will say one thing. I had to get myself out of a sad thought spiral about all the bad things that happened to me in Florida and in Indiana. And I was like, I would love it if I was recognized somewhere and they were like, we don't serve people who want to domesticate pandas. And then I was kicked out. I would enjoy that very much.
All right, well, let's talk about our musicals. All right, Alex, it's your challenge. Will you and Veronica explain what the challenge was, please?
Dr. Professor Burns, I think that Max has a misunderstanding of what I had the challenge of. What did you perceive that the challenge was?
Well, just to
Which,
watch Pitch Perfect and Mamma Mia.
Well,
okay.
if you
didn't watch Mamma Mia, that's fine too.
Was bonus tomato sauce.
Okay.
I will say we turned it on and watched maybe until the first song hit, and Max was like, I can't take this. I can't do it.
It had no plot. It was just like they're owning a struggling hotel just so they can sing the money song.
Exactly.
I did like that Diane from The Good Wife was on that.
And in there's Meryl. I can't believe how they got Meryl Streep to do this movie.
Meryl Streep is very musical theater talented.
I know, but the fact that they got her into Mamma Mia. Okay, I'll just do a quick summary of the film and musical Mamma Mia. Did you watch this as bonus content, Merlin?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I watched Pitch Perfect 1 and 2
Okay,
again.
That's
totally fine.
Did anybody else watch Pitch Perfect 3?
Yes.
Okay.
We watched that last week, yeah.
So
You watched it?
No, this is just to be clear, just to stipulate my bona fides here. My daughter, we showed my daughter Pitch Perfect a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and she got kind of obsessed with it. So she blasted through all 3 in 24 hours, and
Excellent.
and on a day off. And so so we're all pretty steeped in this right
Excellent.
now. It was funny timing that this challenge came along.
The all right, so Mamma Mia is a musical that features the musical being like it's actually on Broadway. Still
Is it what they call a jukebox musical?
Yeah, but it was kind of the first
Because
of
it's not written
kind.
for the show. They fit the music, the songs into. They make a narrative.
Yeah,
around
they
the songs.
picked the songs they wanted to use, and then they like jigsaw puzzle a very thinly veiled plot around singing that money song in the first act.
Yeah. And this was kind of the first of its kind. There's been others like American Idiot, which makes a little more sense because it was like a rock opera to begin with. But basically a mother fucked 3 guys in one weekend, and she doesn't know who the father of her child is, and they base a plot around that's like the main crux of the story. And there's a wedding, so they can have songs like Dancing Queen and Mamma Mia, like, oh no, here I go again with all of these guys. And Meryl Streep is like, she's getting
They do that one song, Blackout Sex Party. Remember that one song about, hey, blackout and have sex with 3 guys in a weekend, you don't know who it is?
The classic ABBA song.
Oh no, that's actually for the bachelor party. They put that song in there for that.
Was there a song around the Blackout Sex Party? Like, what was there a song that was associated, or was that just purely a need to, is that a plot device? Was there a song associated with her crazy sex
That
party?
happened before
yes.
the musical started. It opens with the daughter.
It's an unusual choice.
Yeah.
What song is it? I don't even, that's how unmemorable this movie is. But the musical is great because the musical is very self-aware. They're like, we are here because you are all gay men or middle-aged moms, and you just all like ABBA, whatever. And I am a big fan of poorly made films based on musicals. That's pretty much all I have to say. If you are interested in that, you should also Rent. It's very, very good.
Do you, I mean, it's so hard to tell with you. I mean, did you like the movie?
I adore it.
Okay, so you feel like it's a fun romp. It's not like a classic,
Alex,
but it's worth
I can't
watching.
believe I forgot this. I brought you an entire baguette. We went to Veronica and I went to the fancy bakery.
Oh, well, I mean, it's no strips of paper, but...
Yeah.
Oh, is
We
this
went
from
to the-
Avon Pain?
No,
What's
it's from
this?
Florial, the little French bakery by
I
the
got
office.
very excited.
So we went and got like
I might-
pastries before the podcast, and I saw these baguettes, and I was like, I'll get Alex an entire baguette.
Very good.
Nom, nom, nom.
All right.
Yeah, have some respect for the listeners.
Summary over. It is, I think, an objectively bad film.
I couldn't do it. Once I realized that there was like no story and it was just an
Yep.
excuse for them to like do expensive music videos for like ABBA songs, but they were sung by like theater people
By
instead
your
of by the
favorite
band.
lady from The Good Shit.
But okay, but they're like doing like over dramatic like
For
theater
some
people.
reason, everybody on that series of shows, The Good whatever, are like all musical theater people.
Yeah,
And it
a lot of
is-
Chicago theater people too, like Steppenwolf people and stuff.
Right,
like that.
and I want them to like break out into song, but they don't. They just keep talking about the law or something.
Oh, God.
Finally, we have found the good shit. The titular good shit has arrived.
I'll say so. I'm about 3 or 4 seasons into The Good Wife now, and I'll say to the show's credit, there has not been a line yet where someone says she's the good wife. But when I
That's good
when I
wife.
watched the
That's good wife.
but when I watched The Good Doctor within the
yeah.
3rd episode,
Wait, that's related?
no. Well,
I mean,
it's all
it's the
part
same
of it's
demographic.
part of the GCU, the Good Cinematic Universe.
It's related.
Oh, but that's the kid. That's the kid from Finding Neverland and Charlie and the Chocolate
Yes.
Factory, right?
Dear Evan Hansen.
And
No,
he's
Freddie.
a Spectrum
Freddie
doctor now?
Highmore.
Yeah. So he plays
He's so good in
he
Finding
plays a
Neverland.
very
Yeah.
special
He's so
doctor, and his and it's just sort of it's kind of reminds me of House It's basically House.
It was created.
It's like House meets
Yeah,
Rain
it's
Man.
like the schlockiness of House, basically, but just I don't know. It's a medical mystery drama show.
But he's like a savant, right? I mean, he's one of those Rain Man
Yeah, it's
type.
good.
Like he
It's
knows and remembers
I found the
everything.
show to be it's like good network TV. It's like it's like highly watchable. It's just like it just goes down easy, and then it's like very well paced and it's very heartwarming, and it's pretty self-contained episodes and things like that.
It's what you would call a smart, stupid show, and I call like a stupid, smart show. Like,
Yeah.
it's dumb, but it makes you feel a little
Yeah.
bit smart, and it's made by the same people who did make House,
Oh.
so I enjoy it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
It's good.
The House Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, so the GCU, the Good Cinematic Universe. You've got of course, you've got the Good Place and the Good Fight, which those are linked. So that's like in the same way that you had, Captain America and Iron Man, where it did crossovers before the Avengers or whatever.
Wait, the Good Place and the Good Fight are linked?
No, the good
Yeah,
Good
you got the
Fight
Good
and the
Chef,
good,
the
sorry,
Good Dress.
the Good Wife and the Good Fight.
Right.
And then you've got the Good Place and the Good
Doctor.
Doctor.
Good dress.
Yeah. And then Good Eats. But that was that was more of when it was that was when it was owned by 20th Century Fox and they didn't have all the characters. So that one doesn't quite fit in thematically.
Disney's got up the bid.
Veronica, can I tell you what my lady friend calls Glenn Hedrick on Face
What?
Off? Goth Fieri.
Oh, yes. That's so perfect.
Can I tell? All right, let me tell you about Face Off for a second because I've decided why I think that show is so funny to me.
He looks like he's going to explode.
am.
He looks like he's going to explode in a shower of tattoos and
So
steampunk
what's so funny
clothes.
about the
He's overinflated.
so this show it takes itself, it has all the airs of Top Chef or The Bachelor, any of these sort of self-serious reality shows.
Where it's about the craft and not so much about the drama, apart from I don't want to get sent home.
But I'm talking about in the way that it's shot and produced and edited. It is very self-serious. So leading up to the judging, when they're doing last looks, for example, what you have is these people, and it's quick cuts, and they're all frantic, and they're running back and forth in the studio, and they cut to the head-on interview with someone, and they're like, I've got to get this makeup, or my guy looks like a plucked chicken right now, and it's a disaster, and I'm definitely packing my bags and going home if I don't get this, and I've got to get my.
It's like they require them to mention going home in every interview.
It's like if I can't get this makeup looking right, I'm definitely going home. And the music is going dun 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 dun, and the clock is ticking down, and they're all going, and then it's like time, and they all put their hands up, and then they go to the judging, and this huge wobbly silicone man comes ambling out, and it's like dun 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 dun. And it's so fucking funny.
Roberto, could you tell us a little bit about your slime
and
man?
then it goes, and then one of those fucks up.
I was really inspired by the Brooklyn Bridge, and so I made this mashed potato man into a zombie. I really like the way the spatula appliance comes out of his ear, but I would have liked to see a little bit more detail around the mouth.
His backstory is that he was killed in a kitchen explosion.
He started as an Idaho potato, but then he turned into a zombie man.
Boy, the backstory on those sometimes too, they're really searching. They're like, well,
They're so
the backstory in this
silly.
is that it's an angel who was cast down from heaven, and she cries a lot, and so I imagine her living in the bottom of a lake under an umbrella.
She's a tortured doll of a witch who was raised in the woods, and now she steals men's souls underwater. Also, she's a root vegetable.
But okay, don't you think, like, yes, there is this degree of floppy silicone mashed potato man, but when you watch like Top Dress or even Top Chef, sometimes they'll be taking it really seriously, and then they deliver a plate of like, I don't know, it was made from a vending machine or something, right?
The word inspiration should be banned from that show. I took my inspiration from this building.
Right. Yeah.
What does that mean? Nobody takes inspiration. Oh, so they sent you out with your Dell or your HP pad and your little pen, and you were like inspired by a curtain.
Right. No.
I hate that. The worst of the comic challenge was so annoying with the Marvel comic people.
yeah.
Every year on Top
Oh
Chef,
my
they
God,
have
it was
one
so
dingling
bad.
that they cast, and it's always the same guy. It's some huge meathead, some huge fat meathead.
Hot dog
Yeah,
neck man.
he has a huge hot dog neck, man, and he works in like a.
He's a Cajun. He was raised as a
And
Cajun.
he works in like a chop shop diner in like South Carolina, and he'll last like 4 episodes in because there's always someone who like serves like an entire eggshell to the judges in the first episode or something. But then
I didn't know I'd have to know how to use a pressure cooker.
the one guy from a couple seasons ago, they did this a thing at, maybe it was the Boston season, and they did a thing at the baseball stadium, and the guy's like, well, I took inspiration from baseball, and I made a fish ball, a giant fish baseball. And the judges were appalled. They were like, what the fuck is this giant fish baseball? And he's like, back home in Louisiana, we love our big fish baseballs. We always eat a baseball full of fish.
I was inspired by baseball, so I made this pate bat. I don't figure out how to make this makeup of. Oh, did you see the one with the guy? Oh, the worst of this. Oh my God, you guys just brought it all together. One of the most difficult to watch ones ever was actually from one of the greatest challenges. The challenge was, I think it was the art challenge that yielded the cubism costume. Do you remember
I do remember that one, but that was like season 3.
Do you remember what lost?
If you say it, I will remember.
He finally was going to come to terms with his oh, this is so bad, his abusive father. So he made a cigarette.
Oh yes.
He made a cigarette. And no, it's not funny. It was so difficult.
It was so
it was terrible.
sad.
It was so poorly done. It was like, like when you see a really bad political cartoon and it's like the government written on a pig. And you're like, that's not even a cartoon. You're not pointing anything at. He just made this, like, everything awful about his father as a costume. And it was very poorly done. And it was so difficult.
you can tell that he, like, it meant a lot to him, and it was very important to him that all of his choices.
He got notes from Mr. Mackenzie about, maybe you want to dial that down a little bit.
Right, yeah, but it just turned out to be bad to anybody looking at it, which
I gotta find a photo of this.
I feel like is a good segue to Pitch Perfect. At least Pitch Perfect 3.
Can you explain the premise of Pitch Perfect for people who might not have seen it? Which, by the way, shout out to the Do By Friday Discord server. On Saturday night, they did a Pitch Perfect viewing party, and they set it up on some cockamamie Plex thing where they could all watch the Plex file at the same time or whatever. But then Veronica and I went on with them and watched and chatted with them. It was really fun, actually. Just everyone watched the movie and kind of made fun about at it and enjoyed it together at the same time on the Discord chat. Definitely, we'll probably think we'll bring that back for a future challenge. That was very fun.
Yeah, that was really fun.
I watched Incredibles 2 instead.
Oh my God, what'd you think? What'd you think of the short?
Nope, we're gonna do Pitch Perfect later, after show.
Oh my God, what'd you think of the short?
Nope, after show.
My daughter sobbed.
Nope, after show. I don't want to think about it. Veronica, Pitch Perfect.
Okay, so Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect.
Dig Dug. So the first movie follows our main character, Becca, who is a rebellious teen who goes to college and doesn't want to join anything or be part of any groups. But then she finds the Bardenbellas and kind of rescues this wayward a cappella group and brings them to victory. But it's about the friends you made along the way. So that's Pitch Perfect 1. Pitch Perfect 2 brings the Bellas to Worlds, which is a thing, I guess, where they compete against a German group who's like really angry and competitive with teen girls for some reason.
Das Sound Machine.
Yeah. And then Pitch Perfect 3 brings them on a USO tour, and they run around Europe for basically the whole movie. The plots get thinner and thinner as it goes. And I will say
the what do they call it? Riff off with all the different bands in the third one is like from a different movie. It's a very strange scene.
It's so weird. So I guess we can get to the third one, but
Spoiler horn for Pitch Perfect. Okay.
Spoiler alert, they sing.
The third
Is there
one,
really enough story in that movie to spoil it?
Exactly. I don't know.
there's too much story in that movie. They took everyone's ideas and said yes to all of them, and then that was Pitch Perfect 3. But I really think Pitch Perfect 3 highlights something that's true about actual real life a cappella groups, which is it looks like they had so much fun doing it that you just feel happy. Like, it doesn't matter that it was bad. You just, like, you feel their joy through the movie or through the a cappella group or whatever it is.
Well, maybe we can get into the plot of Pitch Perfect 1. I'm
Sure, Pitch Perfect 1.
All right, I'm struggling with why this is such a beloved movie and why you guys all like it. I thought it was like, so first of all, I thought it was like an okay teen movie. That's how I felt about it. I thought it was like, it wasn't bad. I actually didn't dislike it. Like I thought it was Pitch Perfect 1. It was like very watchable. It had some genuinely like very funny moments. I thought it was a little too consciously trying to rip off Mean Girls and trying to like even to the point where they have a scene just like in Mean Girls where in the end of the second act where the girls all have to sit down and confess things to each other in a sort of moment of heartfelt stakes raising for the characters. It was very, very consciously, to me at least, chasing after the Mean Girls sort of cult phenomenon in a way that made me, I don't know, it was too conspicuous. I guess people must like the music because it's like good songs and stuff.
Yeah, it's good music.
Yeah.
We were watching this movie actually before the whole Discord Plex server thing happened. And Max turned to me at some point near the beginning and said, "This is funny." So
Well, I didn't know that it was a comedy.
well,
Oh, you thought it was like a costume drama about
No, I thought it was
acapella?
like I thought it was like one of these.
An
I
acapella
thought it was like
classic?
one of these stupid dramas like you guys like, where they all sing and cry and.
I mean, to be fair, people go into Rent thinking it's a comedy. Like, what's happening? In defense of I guess not in the defense, but this came a long time after Mean Girls, and like all teen like chick flick genre films have that. So it's not like they were directly. I thought they had a nice little spin on what has now become a trope. The trope the spin mostly being vomit, and I really like the puke jokes in the first one. They're
I think that's where I turned to Veronica and was like, "Oh, this is funny. It's a comedy."
yeah.
so stupid and good.
Yeah, I genuinely didn't know anything about it going in, and I was surprised that it was a comedy. I thought it was like a serious musical.
Well, I feel like the very obvious thing that must be stated was that these movies, we would not be talking about these movies if it wasn't for Fat Amy.
Oh,
She
interesting.
really. You don't think so? And like, if you know about her ad libs, like she ad libbed most of her
yeah.
lines and like would just do them over and over in different things. And she changes the valence of every scene that she's in a way that is genuinely very funny. It's like she is very funny.
There is she's a comedian.
Her confidence
Yes.
is so awesome. So when she does the mermaid thing, she just made that up. The mermaid dancing. They requires a lot of floor work. Yeah, I see.
Well, and that's the thing. Like
That's funny.
It's brilliant. She can do like fat jokes without fat shaming. That's just hilarious because fat people can be funny, and like I don't do cardio, and
She 100%. I mean,
owns it,
I don't
and
say she
she's-
believes it's true. It's true
Yeah.
to her, and she exudes that confidence in everything she does. And even when the joke is at her expense, like it's still really funny, and it doesn't faze her. She just flashed her beaver like hanging from a rope, and like it's just the thing that happened.
Oh God. And on like the Fat Amy and Becca, and I literally I refer to them to the ginger queerbaiter, the quiet Asian, and the rest.
Oh, I love Lily.
Yeah, but what I think
I keep a penny under my tongue.
Satan's finally left my body. I'm Esther.
That's her.
but the one through
sets
line through
fires.
all of the films is not just that you're watching like the plot of like, oh yeah, all of these women are having fun together, but the cast genuinely is having fun together. Like
Yes.
it's
You
not
can
like-
tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why they kept making these movies. Ultimately, is like Pitch Perfect.
Not because they made money.
No. Pitch Perfect 2 made like no money.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so
yeah.
cynical. That's late capitalism has made you cynical.
Well, that's the thing. There are a ton of cameos by a lot of a cappella groups, and it cost so much money to make. And it was, I'm not a super fan. Like the plot there is like almost so thin that it's almost they wanted
In 3?
in two. What
Oh,
I
in
loved
2,
with
okay.
3 is
Both.
they're just like, fuck it. Like we're just gonna do what these actors want and what they're good at to do silly
Is
bullshit.
DJ Khaled genuinely famous?
He
I mean, I know he's a
was.
person, but is he really like
DJ
considered like an
Khaled.
important
Oh yeah,
person?
DJ Khaled's a big fucking deal.
He's got
Okay,
quite a
alright.
significant part in the Pitch Perfect 3.
Going back to Pitch Perfect 1, the plot is basically that who's the main girl?
Becca's
the main
going to
girl?
college. She does not want to go to college. Her father's a professor at this college, makes her go to the college because she goes for free. She really wants to be a DJ and start earning her dues. So she's our not agent of chaos, but she's our main character, and she does not have any interest in this
What's the
culture.
woman-
But she ends up
What's
falling
the
into it.
lady who plays her?
Anna Kendrick.
Yes, Anna Kendrick.
Anna Kendrick.
Right. So Anna Kendrick reluctantly joins this women's a cappella team after they discover she can sing, and they're the rivals of the far better men's a cappella team and the Troublemakers. And who's the main guy on that too? He's also very funny to me.
Fake Jack Black. He's very
so
good.
funny.
He's super good.
But then Anna Kendrick does like in this universe, she's invented the concept of the mashup. No one's heard of a mashup before, but she takes two songs.
She gets real intense on her MacBook. Ooh, she really gets in there.
Yeah, her brow is furrowed as she fades one song into another.
It sounds like one song, but it's actually different songs. It's almost like she's taken like a swatch or if you like a sample of another song and then kind of created this tapestry of song from different parts of other songs. It sounds like one song, but it's parts from other songs. I don't know if you guys caught that, but you can tell because there's two windows with waveforms.
Of her,
And then she gets on the wheels of
okay,
plastic
and you
she's
know what
hitting
else
the
was
buttons
weird?
and
This was, of
walking
course,
in a winter wonderland.
of course, the Discord immediately seized on this, but like she's using this like in the early scenes of the movie, she's using this like mysterious unlabeled music software that kind of looks. It's
It's
basically
like Ableton, but
it's like
not.
off-brand Ableton, but then
Yeah.
later she's just using Tractor Pro and it's
Yeah.
branded and it says Tractor Pro on it.
Yes. Also, they had to. She's got the like Sony MDRs, but they have to tape over them, and then they clearly made a deal with Beats later because suddenly Beats headphones start showing up. I love it.
Oh, there's a lot of product placement,
Yeah.
especially in Pitch Perfect 3.
It was real bad.
It's very obvious.
I
You
kind of
guys want to get in this Subaru and drink a Mountain Dew and have our famous song sing off?
Yes, the song sing off.
well, you guys are
and then
getting
she-
way too deep into the plot. The
she
plot of all three
basically-
is a singing competition.
Well, she basically seizes control of the this historic women's a cappella group against everyone's wishes and forces.
Because they've gotten lame and they keep doing
She does
old
like a hostile.
songs.
She does like a coup. She does like a hostile. She displaces.
The 40-year-old woman who's running the group vomited on stage, and now she only wants to sing like The Sign
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
She's
real
she
stale.
displaces the
Ugh,
leadership.
not cool.
She jails the.
She doesn't understand
She
DJs.
jails the leadership is sent to jail. There's like a military coup, and then her and her like controlled opposition candidate, the other one, the like redhead girl, they lead the
Right.
group.
She's only like 36.
Yeah, and they lead the group to do mashups. And in this world, no one's ever heard a mashup, and so when the a cappella group starts doing the mashup,
Whoa, what's happening?
They-
What's happening? Are two
people
songs
their
split?
jaws fall open, they get out
Oh
of
my
their
gosh.
chairs and applaud. They're just like, "What is
How did you
happening?"
do that with hitting buttons? Are you a witch?
I also did not like. So it's, in the whole movie, the men's a cappella team is way better. They have like they like sound better. They have like better
no.
dance moves throughout the whole film. Throughout the whole film.
No.
Then-
no.
No, they can hit the low
Then
notes.
in the finale,
It's about as successful as they are being doctors.
in the finale of the film, the one girl with the red hair, she gets her nose surgery, and then all of a sudden they write this contrivance into the plot where she
It's
can
so
sing,
funny.
where
It's
she can
so
sing the really
good.
low bass
It's
notes,
hilarious.
and then
so funny. I love it.
And then when they go on stage for the finale, they sound way better because they have a bass section, right? Like that's part of why a cappella sounds good is if you have a guy with a real low voice, it's very surprising and sounds good and you get the full range of like instruments. And they didn't have that the whole time, and then they wrote this contrivance into the plot to have it. But ultimately
This is what happens with these movies we make for women. You end up getting fake baritone.
Ultimately, it just reminded me of the fact. It just all it made me think about was that men's a cappella will always be inherently better than women's only a cappella
Yes.
because they have a higher range. You have the real high castrati guy voices and the real low guys, but
Right.
women, I mean, what can you do there?
Well, and, you can't have
Oh my
co-ed
God.
acapella without
okay,
men.
people need to know.
Co-ed acapella
You-
without men
you
is just
need-
women, and that doesn't work.
At this point, I really don't know if you're parodying one of the characters who is Elizabeth.
Well, women lack a lot of
Banks.
subtlety in conversation.
That's
Well,
another
Alex,
through
how
line
could you?
I like.
You couldn't have co-ed a cappella because men and women are so different in their capabilities and abilities when it
Co-ed.
comes to singing.
Oh,
I mean, I can understand.
I'm not saying women shouldn't sing, but they're not serious about it.
It was so fucking funny to me in this movie that was never floated of like, oh, if we combined our teams And in the second one, you know what's funny is that their big thing is that they're going against the German team, and the German team has way more people, and
I
so
don't
they need
speak loser.
and they need a way to get more people on the team, and it's like, well, why don't you have a co-ed a cappella team?
Well, why don't you have your increasingly puffy-looking boyfriend sing with you? And Benji.
Dear Evan Hansen.
Dear Evan Hansen.
I
Now-
really.
Got to be writing those
The
letters. It's
final
really
thing
going to
I
help.
want to say about the one Pitch Perfect 1 is that this movie, it does one of the cardinal sins that a movie can do.
I know what you're gonna say, and you're wrong. You're
Which is
wrong,
in the
you're
middle
wrong,
of the
you're
movie,
wrong.
it reminds you of a better movie by showing you an extended footage of The Breakfast Club. There's like a
No,
huge plot
no.
point where her shitty boyfriend, her awful boyfriend,
He's
forces
not
her
awful.
he forces her to watch the
You
closing.
called my dad.
He forces her to watch the closing moments of Breakfast Club because he likes the music choice. And she watches it and is like, what the fuck is this shit? And then only later when she thinks to
So
watch the
basic.
whole film by herself does she like the ending. And then not only does he show her just the ending shot of Breakfast Club and expect her to be moved by it, but he's visibly disappointed and like leaves their date when she doesn't like it. And they're
He takes film music
Yeah.
very seriously.
Well, I also like at the very beginning of the movie, she's like, I just don't watch movies. I don't like movies. And it's like, okay, that's a normal thing to say. But each one gets more self-aware. Like even last one, there's a line like, okay, that was a lot of exposition. And they know what they're making. And I like when this
You
happens.
don't disagree with me that it was bad that they reminded you of the Breakfast Club in the middle of this movie,
It's
and you're like,
not
oh, I
a
could be.
I think
it's not
The
a
Breakfast Club
musical-
might be the most overrated movie.
yeah,
last
Really,
50
you don't like the
years.
Breakfast Club?
It's fine.
very overrated movie.
It's a fine movie, but this does not commit the.
But I do take your point, and like the
Eh.
pushy boyfriend who's like going to make her watch a laptop, and like she doesn't need that in her life.
That's
Plus, he does get pretty puffy in the
it's
second
very
one.
funny.
Do you think he looks a little swollen in the second
Yeah.
one? You think he's retaining
Yeah,
water,
well, I
or
mean, he
retaining
might be
movies?
taking some prednisone.
Here, remember, sir.
One thing, okay. One thing about this movie, it does not commit the cardinal sin of having actors try to do something that they're good at and like faking it, like Marvelous Miss Maisel or whatever, where she's not actually funny. Like all of these
Oh,
are
like you're saying they can actually sing.
very good singers.
Oh,
and they're
yes.
I love the singing in
Yes,
this movie.
I think it's great, and I don't think
Merlin Mann raves singing is the real star of this movie.
that is, yeah. If anything, like
The song
listen to the
sequences
soundtrack.
the song sequences and the acapella competitions were very good, and I do like the sing off in the pool. I think that's a really good scene.
Actually, it's a rip off.
Yeah.
Riff
Whatever.
off. Yeah.
Sir. But you know, it's the other cardinal, not a cardinal sin, but it does make me want to watch Best in Show.
Oh yes.
The commentary was
It
very
was
Best in
very
Show,
good.
which I think I know Michael James Robert Richard Higgins was in that. I don't know if Elizabeth Banks was in that.
I don't think she was.
Now, did she came in just as talent on the first one, or was she a producer from
She
the
was a
beginning?
producer from the beginning.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay, and then she directed the last one, right?
I
Or the second one? She
Definitely
directed
the
one
second
of them,
one.
at least.
uh
Are you eating a baguette, Alex?
Yeah, I really respect the listener.
Okay.
It's so good.
I think they're fun. I think they're fun movies, and I think it's a little window into a world I just didn't know very much about. And it's now we're listening to a little bit of a cappella music, and it's not going to change our lives, but it's
So are
Send
you
me down an acapella rabbit hole here. What do I Google?
Yeah, are you not an acapella fan from the beginning, Merlin?
no.
No?
Excuse
Anyone?
me?
Anyone else?
There's 15 some word jokes in
That's
the
a
first film
Aka word.
alone.
So when I was in high school or middle school, maybe even, we had, I don't know, Napster or whatever it was at the time, and I would download a cappella songs, and I didn't know that all the groups I was downloading were like in college, and so I would go to Sam Goody or CD store or whatever and try to buy like the Brown Derbies was a big one on my list. They're from Brown University, and I would like try to buy this CD, and the music people would be like, what are you talking about? But I was really into a cappella music in high school, and then I got to college, and by that point I realized I didn't want to sing in front of people anymore. So I was never
Wait, so
part
hang
of
on.
an
Wait,
acapella.
did you participate
No,
in
I was
this?
never part of an acapella group, but I was more like the guy with the clipboard at the beginning during the audition.
Well, and another great thing is the girl who throws up a bunch in the first one, and in the third one is like, I don't need to do this anymore. And they all do their little spiel about how they're growing up, and it's just cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a thing that happens a lot in, this is not that funny, but it's, I don't know, revealing. A lot of times my wife and I will be watching a movie and there's somebody in it who's supposed to be in college, high school, junior high, and at some point one of us will turn to the other and go, he's 30. It's true in this one. The two lead women, who are great, and they're great singers and attractive and whatever, but like, oh my God, you are so not 21. Give me a break.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
I find that distracting.
Well, the thing with teen movies is you always assume, like, teen movies, middle schoolers go to that, so they don't really know what real high schoolers look like, so they just assume...
Yeah, anybody over 20
exactly.
is ancient.
Yeah, so it works.
Right. When do you start running into that, Alex? It's a fun ride.
It's already happening. Everyone's going to die. It's going to be great.
But you made it through the whole movie, Max? You made it through the whole movie.
Yeah, when we started watching Pitch Perfect 2, and, you know, they introduced the new kid.
True Grit Girl.
Sure.
That's True Grit Girl? Mm-hmm. No
Yes.
shit, really?
Yeah.
Isn't she awesome?
She's
so good in True
She was
Grit.
fairly forgettable, honestly. She wrote one song.
Oh, right. And didn't even use swatches. Did you like her in True Grit? I
Yeah,
thought
she was very
amazing
good in True Grit. Although when you're that young and you're in like a movie and you're acting at that level, I always do wonder, like, is it acting or are you just showing up and being yourself? Is it acting or casting? Do you know?
She had
Like
her
the girl
confidence.
from Beasts of the Southern Wild, I think that's like one of the best performances of a child actor ever. But and I find it very moving. But like, is that the actress or is that the casting person?
I think women shouldn't act. I just think no, it's not. It's not anything.
It should be like
gendered.
Shakespeare. It
It's
should all
just
be
that-
men.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
only men should. I don't think that, well, if you're gonna have a female part, if you require that for the whatever, a man is gonna be a better choice for that in a lot of cases because of their emotions. I'm glad you watched it, Veronica. How did it feel? Did Max go on a journey? Did he ever find himself actually getting into the movie?
I think so. I walked into the kitchen a couple days later, and he was watching YouTube videos of a cappella groups,
I was.
That's awesome.
and he was smiling. It was a very adorable moment. He was just sitting there with his iPad and like smiling to himself.
Hawkalicious. Hawka surprising.
I know, right? It was great.